This is Ashish Masi Cars, helping you buy better.
Well, so this here is the Maruti Alto 800, and it's a car which doesn't really need any introduction, so I won't really give it one, except I will tell you that this is the best selling car in India. So let's find out what makes it such a big hit and what makes first time buyers really go for this one. Well, so I'm inside the cabin of the Maruti Suzuki Alto, and the quality is just about okay. It's nothing great, but it's not bad either. Well, overall cabin quality inside the Alto is pretty consistent, and there are a few hard plastics, but it's quite okay considering the price of this car. Well, in terms of practicality, it's a decent place to be. You get a decently sized glove box. There's a small tray where you can, of course, keep your cell phone, wallet, or your spectacles, like I have. And there's one big tray where you can keep your big 1 liter bottle from your home. And apart from that, there is also a small cup holder, but the door bins aren't large enough to house anything except maybe your newspaper, and that too folded completely flat. Well, in terms of seat comfort, the support for the lower back is very good, but the seats aren't really very long or very wide, which means that for longer but the seat squab isn't very wide or very long, which means that if you are a tall adult like me, someone who is about 5'10 or 5'11 or maybe taller, then you will lack under thigh support, and these seats will tie you on those long highway trips. Well, so I'm in the back seat of the Alto, and as you can see, headroom is more than adequate even for someone who is my height, which for reference is 5'10", and there is place below the front seats where I can stretch my feet. That said, it's not a very wide car at the back, which means that only 2 occupants will be comfortable. The third one really will be very close company, and you don't really want to be squished over here at the back in the Alto on long journeys. And the door bins, well, there are no door bins at all at the back, so that's something that maybe Maruti should think about and add onto this car. But otherwise, in terms of overall comfort, a decent place to be considering the compact dimensions on the outside. In terms of overall boot space, the Alto comes with a 170 odd litre boot. It's about 177 litres officially. It's a well-shaped boot. It's pretty square in its shape, and there's a very small loading lip as well, which means that you can heave in those big bags from the airport without too many problems. It should not really be a big issue. Well, even though these small hatchbacks aren't really supposed to be keen drivers' cars, the Alto does have something in it for the keen driver, someone who enjoys driving himself. And that's because the engine is pretty nippy. It really does love to rev. It's pretty smooth. The gearbox is light and pretty crisp. And the clutch also is very linear in its operation, so that makes it a pretty easy car to nip around the traffic when you are in the city. The other good point about the Alto is its fuel efficiency, and the Alto really is one of the most efficient cars in India at the moment, offering you about 24 odd kpl, which are of course the claimed figures from Maruti, the ARI tested figures for the company. And along with being nimble, the Alto is surprisingly pretty stable as well. If you are someone who does a lot of highway trips, then this car will feel pretty stable till about 80 or 90 kph, which are legal speeds on most Indian highways. And it's a bit of a surprise because remember, this car has one of the most shortest wheelbases of any car in the country, so even then it does manage to feel pretty stable and reassuring. The brakes are also decent, and the ride quality is okay as well, because some of the bumps and potholes do filter in when you are doing slow city speeds, but it's quite okay and quite acceptable for this size of car as well as the price point that it sells at. Well, you'll just be changing gears for the heck of it on the Alto, because the Alto has a very sweet and very crisp gearbox. It really is a joy to use. The other downside is the fact that you don't get a lot of features, especially considering the Kwid, which has that touchscreen system, which also has the maps in it, so that's a bit of a letdown. You do get a stereo, but it's not really very good, and even the power window buttons are positioned over here in the middle, just ahead of the handbrake, so it's a bit of a odd place to have the power window buttons. But apart from that, considering the price, performance is pretty sprightly. Also, the Alto's compact dimensions, its light controls, as well as the fuel efficient as well as responsive petrol engine makes it one of the best cars for city travel. And even though it might not really be a very big car on the inside or have a very big boot, it offers you peace of mind like no other rival can. And all that makes it a desirable car if you're in the market for your first ever small car. Well, thanks for watching this video, and don't forget to share it, subscribe to our channel, as well as like it on your social media platforms.